Welcome back to the factor theorem part 3. So I've got my question up. We're going to try to factor this polynomial here. So let's see what we can do. Step 1 is we're going to look at the number at the end, okay, the 9, and we're going to try some different contenders, meaning all numbers that are factors of 9. So I'm thinking plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, and the only other numbers that would work as far as integers are plus or minus 9. So that's kind of nice. I only have 6 numbers to kind of crunch through and see. So let's start off with the easiest number of all. We're going to start off with positive 1. So I'm going to put in 2 times 1 cubed minus 11 times 1 squared plus 12 times 1 plus 9. And remember, all I'm trying to see here is, do I get a remainder of 0? So this would be 2. Then I have minus 11 plus 12, and then plus 9. Well, it's pretty clear. I mean, I'm going to get 2 and 12 is 14, plus 9, 23, take away 11. That's not 0. There's no way I'm going to get a 0 out of that. So let's not waste my time. Let's move on to the next easiest contender, which is negative 1. Now, sometimes you can speed the work up a little bit. You know, you just do a little bit in your head and say, well, negative 1 cubed would be negative 1, times that by 2, and I'm going to get negative 2. Negative 1 squared is just positive 1, so I can basically ignore it. It's just going to be the minus 11. Over here, I have negative 1 times 12, so that's going to be minus 12. And then I have plus 9. Well, I don't think there's a hope in turning this into 0. So unfortunately, none of those panned out. So now I got to go to 3. So okay, let's try 3. Let's write it out. We got 2 times 3 cubed. And you can see this is the grunt work of this, unfortunately. Minus 11 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3, and then plus 9. So let's see what we get here. This would be 3 cubed is 27 times 2 is 54. And then I have minus 11 times 3 squared, so 11 times 9, which is 99. Then I have plus 12 times 3, so that's 36. And then I have plus 9. Well, I crunched this through on the calculator earlier, and guess what? I got 0. So, oh, yes, I did it. I found the winners, so to speak. And sometimes this is a really good time, before you lose sight of what your answer is going to look like. What does that mean in terms of this being a factor? Well, it means that x minus 3 is a factor. Okay, and then we're going to figure out the other factor or factors in a moment. But that's step 1. Once you get a factor, it's probably not a bad idea to write that down and say, yeah, this is where I'm going to write down the answer. Okay, remember, don't lose sight that what we're trying to do here is factor this polynomial. So in the end, I want to see this factored answer. So that step 1 is done. So we'll just put a little divider there. And now step 2 is I'm going to plug that stuff in using synthetic division and see what else I have to work with. So I'm going to plug in 3 again. Okay. And my coefficients are 2x cubed, then a negative 11x squared, 12x's, and a constant of 9. And I'm really hoping to see 0 here, indicating that I didn't make a mistake. So we'll bring the 2 down. 2 times 3 is 6. Add them up. Negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Add them up, and I get negative 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And yes, I did get a remainder of 0. So what does that tell me I have now? It tells me I have 2x squareds minus 5x's minus 3. Now that if this doesn't factor, then that's what goes in the brackets over here, and I'm all done. But sometimes these little guys here, these little trinomials, they factor. So you gotta either use the magic numbers, or maybe you can just fill in the blanks. And this has small enough numbers, I think I can probably just fill in the blanks. I think it's just going to be 2x times x. And the only way to get negative 3 is either it's 3 and 1, or it's 1 and 3. And I have to try to do it such that the combination of the middle term stuff is going to be negative 5. So I'm thinking if I put the 3 here and made that negative, then that would be negative 6x's. And then I'll make this a positive 1x. And I think that's going to work. So I double check it. 2x squared, yes. Negative 6x's. Positive 1x, which combines to make negative 5x's. And then I'm getting negative 3. So now let's put all that into the answer. And actually it's kind of a funny answer because you notice that we have x minus 3 twice. I didn't really leave it enough room, so I'm just going to write it up here. Sometimes, as a kind of a shorthand, people write it this way. They write the 2x plus 1, and then they'd write the x minus 3. And instead of writing it twice, they go squared. Same idea. All right? Okay, well that's where I'm going to stop with the factor theorem today.